Namaste Galactic family, welcome back to my channel IndigoAngel. Welcome if you're new. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you're returning, don't forget to hit the notifications bell to continue to receive my messages. And if you like the content on my channel, please share and comment on these videos so others can find out about my work. So today we are going to do a Anunnaki or Anunnaki, there's a couple different pronunciations of the word, Anunnaki Starseed origin reading. This is the majority of the human collective race. This is a December reading approaching the golden gate of the ecliptic winter solstice or summer solstice for those of you who are doing indigenous ceremony or who are tuning in to Uluru, Australia, one of the major Mother Ark gate sites on the planet. This would be hosted by the Pleiadians, Sirians, Arcturians, and this is bringing forth a lot of Lemurian activations. So a lot of the old equatorial encoding is infusing the grid, along with the stretching of the frequency to the 6D hosts, the Sirian portals, and this is happening December 21st, 2020. I am going to go ahead and jump into a starseed origin reading for the Anunnaki Starseed, and here we go. Okay, Anunnaki Starseeds. The bottom row is the Tarot Nefertari, and this is an Egyptian deck. This is from the Light of Egypt, Ramses' Bride, and I really love this deck. There's a lot of golden artwork on the cards, so I feel like it's pretty relative to the Anunnaki history and cosmology. I have been working with it in other videos. Once I kind of find a deck that I like, I kind of stick with it for a little bit. The top row is the Kabbalistic Tarot, and I really like this deck because it works with the Universal Tree of Life, which is the first level and layer to our light body, and it's just such a fundamental aspect to our consciousness. So it's definitely going to fall in alignment with today's messages with the Anunnaki Starseed, considering that the Anunnaki Starseeds themselves, they really need to spend time attuning their consciousness and their awareness to the energy mechanics of their own body within the grids, the ley lines, the axial tonal lines, the spheres, realms, and worlds, all of the interconnecting aspects that takes you into interdimensional navigation for deeper healing and clearing, particularly with slavery contracts coming up so much within the Anunnaki Starseed, the human collective, that they're really needing to embrace strength right now. Jebra and Chesed are the spheres, realms, and worlds that are lit up on this card system, and this is judgment and this is mercy. And so this is when strength really is to be embodied. This is the key to understanding. This is how we grow stronger every day, is to really, for one, learn how to tame the inner beast inside of us that desires things that may not necessarily be in our best interest, but also to just remain strong and courageous through these times of transformation, through the times of disinformation, through the times of InfoWars, through the times of deception, as more of, particularly for you, Anunnaki Starseed, more of your Grail line keeps coming up to be introduced to you, to integrate into you. There is nothing wrong with anything, anywhere, anybody, any genetic line, any race that's ever walked on existence on this planet. They were all meant to be here for a reason. They all brought something forth in terms of our growth and who we are and what we are supposed to do here as a collective, as a human species. It's just that it's about transforming that inner aspect of yourself so that way you can be adaptable and you can regenerate in an adaptable manner to the changing times. And that also means in shifting into 5D consciousness, 6D consciousness, that the Anunnaki are completely capable of 12th dimensional ascension and beyond. And so it requires adaptability. It requires us to regenerate, sometimes by rejecting the outdated, rejecting the unnecessary, and preserving your strength, preserving your wisdom. And this is what honestly gives you incredible human power, is to be able to overcome these things. So this really does correspond to Leo. You can see Leo here. And so it's really about leadership. And I think the Anunnaki at this time are stepping into leadership roles. They are undergoing major transformation and major development within their lineage. And this is developing their character. This is developing more of their self-awareness. It's shifting their lineage, their history, their cosmology to be ready to be more cooperative, more interactive. And there's a lot of connections to the Sphinx here. So I'm seeing that, I'm just picking up that the Sphinx was a part of your history, that you were like the original builders of the Sphinx, or the original race that honored the Sphinx, and that this Sphinx was a great teacher. And this is where you actually draw, maybe unconsciously, in the astral realm, when you astral travel, when you do grid keeping, gateside keeping, that you're visiting the Sphinx often to draw up this strength, power, and courage within yourself. We also have the Two of Wands here. Many of you right now are leaving the old for new. You're kind of sticking with what you know to get by, but you really want to leave the old ways behind. You feel an accumulation of your desires, and it's taking a lot of your inner strength to overcome a lot of these aspects. But you are feeling people assessing you. You can feel people judging you. You see where limitations are. You see where the mental disturbances are. You see where accidents have been made. And so you really are fighting for spirit at this time. You really do have a love for learning, but you're really, like I said, trying to be adaptable and transcend a lot of these aspects. There's been a lot of connections to Mars. I don't know, I'm seeing Mars here, that your soul collective is getting a lot of charges and energy charges from Mars at this time. That it's almost as if there is maybe a bunker or a base, an Anunnaki bunker or base that is on Mars, that some of you are in direct teleportation or direct remote view or direct sinking into this bunker for transmission of information. There's something about, there's very ambitious plans that are being made at this bunker in Mars. And you are, they're under seizure. There's been some type of retention of power, but there's also a lot of participation with many of the true bloods, like I said, the descendants of the I can never think of this word, the descendants of the Incestry, the deepest descendants of the Incestry of the Anunnaki are in participation with this bunker on Mars. But as a hybridized collective, that many of you are picking up transmissions about this Mars thing. So I think more of this Mars bunker is going to start coming up. I've already been seeing some things online about Mars, and there being aliens on Mars at this time. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Anunnaki would be who's there, that they've already colonized Mars to some degree. So we have the Six of Swords here, and we also have Tifera. So Tifera is beauty. This is definitely a piece of the beauty. It's not the whole sphere. I sense that some of you may be moving at this time, that the home life or the home stability is a little bit ungrounded. If you're living with somebody right now, you're really thinking a lot about finding your own place. You're trying to get to a place that you will feel a little bit safer in being yourself. You're wanting to move away from turbulent lifetimes. So your ancestry, your Akashic records, you sense a lot of this turbulence within your entirety of your Grail line, all of the biblical wars that have been fought, all of the invasions, all of the genocide, all of the agendas. And so you have this deep sense, your spirit guides, which are the most powerful pantheon, are expressing to you that to move beyond these turbulent lifetimes, move beyond this difficulty, and own your sovereignty right now. You are allowed to own this. Just because you were a part of a grail or a genetic or a race line that had difficulties in the past, that this is no longer yours. They want to grant you permission to feel safe and accepted in society. And not even society, because that would be owning the matrix system, but in just the breath that is yours here on earth. You are breathing here on earth. You are supposed to be here. And that they seek to assist you with moving, and even if this is manifesting now in your human life here now. I feel like we just time traveled there for a minute. It's manifesting in ways here that you are unable to find a grounded home, any type of footing where you feel like you've built a solid foundation. And that's because the ancestral trauma that you feel like a what are they called? Like the people who search for safer places in other countries. You feel like a refugee. You feel like you're not accepted anywhere. And so you have difficulty in finding safety, acceptance, belonging. All of these issues come up for you a lot. And so I feel that the guides from the pantheons, like Inanna, like she's coming through and she's saying that do not fear these things. Do not hold on to the judgment. Do not hold on to the difficulties from this past ancient turbulence, that you are your own God sovereign being now, and they really want you to accept this. You also have the Emperor. You have felt a lot of restrictions. And this is also internal and external at the same time. Internally, you feel restricted, so you've had trouble with integrity at times. You've had trouble with distinguishing yourself from others, feeling like you just want to fit in. And this is where you get caught up into those slave and slavery programs again, is because you feel that you just want to fit in, that you don't want to have to step up or rise above anything that's going to cause more disturbance or more turbulence in your life. And so there's this, just not saying that you're sheep or a herd or anything like that, but there's like, you find comfort sometimes in just not being seen. And you don't like to admit that to yourself. You don't want to, and I'm just, if you hold resistance to this reading, you know, I'm really just channeling the, as if it's me. Like, I feel this as if it's me. Like, this is how it comes through, as if I am you, or I am this soul gene, this soul genetic, and I am in this position. And I see that there is this feeling of not wanting to contradict the ways of the world because you've struggled so hard to just find something that works, that then there's this falling back into feeling comforted by the matrix system in some ways. You want to be brave, but you're also afraid to be reckless. And so it's been difficult to have commitment to success. It's been difficult to be initiative. It's been difficult to find independence. And so you don't really like to acknowledge authority of others, though. This is what I'm sensing, is that you're able to listen, but you despise rulers. You see a lot of them as weak. You see that you've known stronger powers. Like, you intuitively, inheritively have been amongst the strongest gods in the pantheon of Earth, period. And so it's hard to really be a subject that wants to follow your leaders. You can see the shadow sides of your leaders very, very well. You can see that there's a lot related to cruelty, abuse of power, carelessness. And so, I mean, you can understand why you've in past lives have gone through war, rivalry, struggle. Sometimes you've been victorious, sometimes you haven't been victorious. You've accepted a lot of this, but you're also practicing a lot of modesty with that. So there's a lot of patience, and you're also working to want to just relieve yourself from pain. You really do seek spiritual guidance. You feel that you are a wise man yourself, that you are a priest yourself. You feel very connected to, I want to say, An and Enlil, that you feel less connection to Enki and Marduk and kind of the darker, more rebellious side of this pantheon. You strive to work more with the stronger, more defined beings that were more towards procreation and building the wealth of the city. And you understand that your cultural brought religion to humanity. This is why the emperor came up here, is because of what your culture has brought to humanity. So you feel comfort in that, you feel whole in that, but you also don't know what to do about that at the same time. You know, you don't know how to make it better, what's going to make it better. You also have the death card here. For some reason, I'm sensing Christianity here, that because there is such a connection to the descendancy of the Abrahamic religions through the Anunnaki Starseed, that they descended from this, that you've seen the dangers of Christianity, particularly the Roman Catholic Church. And I'm picking up that this part of the religion is suspected to have a death moment, which means it's something's coming to an end within that. In early Christianity, it was associated with Christ and enabled salvation, but there is this duality within this. And there's duality in the fact that this death card manifested, okay? So there's death as an individual salvation, and then there's death as an essential prerequisite of propagation, okay, of moving forward and overcoming subjective fear. And so it's just coming up because this is expressing itself here on multiple levels. I feel that its lowest level is like the venomous aspects of these darkness of the religion and of the history and of the descendancy, that this is going to destroy itself, that this is going to implode upon itself. And this is going to happen even within the self, that we're going to have this revelation or this awareness within ourselves. And then I also see that there is this aspect of it that's striving forward into the heavens. Okay, and it's going into the upper worlds. And this is where things are going to start rising up from the cosmic ashes, the burning in the cosmic fire, the rising of the phoenix. There's going to be like a rising of the phoenix type moment for the Anunnaki Starseed. And then there's also like another aspect of it that's just going to be the transformation. So things are going to renovate. There's going to actually be a migration from these parts of the material as more of the indigo waves come in and more of the collective wakes up, that there's going to be spiritual migrations from these materials, and that new materials are going to awaken. I'm also picking up that there's still undiscovered books in caves, biblical texts in caves that have not even been found to this day, that are going to be found, that are specifically from the Anunnaki. That's just coming through. We also have the Hermit. So all of these future plans of humanity are going to come through the Anunnaki Starseed, even into the future at this point. And so it's like the whole collective of the human collective of the Anunnaki Starseed is going through this like inner reflective part of themselves of a divine idea. And there is a collective idea that is within this Starseed collective, and everybody's kind of has a little piece or a little chink of this puzzle and this method and how to implement it. It's within the soul mission of the Anunnaki Starseed to be having this collective telepathy of these ideas, and it's the destiny of their mission as well. But it's not quite established yet, and it's not established by one person. So it's taking the collective mind of the Anunnaki Starseed to really come together. And this is happening through meditation. This is happening through a collective buildup of this progression of this probable reality field. So many of you maybe feel called to go within at this time, that you just feel like a collective calling to go inside yourself and work through your thoughts. You want to have like a rational approach to any of your problem solving, as well as discretion. You feel highly called to discretion. Like you don't feel anybody needs to know your business right now. You don't feel anybody needs to know anything about you at all until you're ready to make moves. And so you're kind of going through a lot of that, and you're just organizing your thoughts, analyzing what's happening. You're including very small people that you trust, and you want to be successful in solving your tasks. So you're using a lot of wisdom and a lot of divine inspiration at this time. We have the Wheel of Fortune here. Chesed and Netzah is mercy and eternity. So when you're looking at this tree of life here, this is the first level and layer of your light body. So this is first to the inner mechanics of the chakra system. And so as you're manifesting, as you are bringing forth this collective telepathy into your Anunnaki Starseed mind collective field, that you are drawing these bits of consciousness at the most atomic state through these spheres. Okay, so you're working primarily through the main body section here. We have all lit up spheres that are right in the center of the universal tree of life. So this is the core work. This is the guts of the universal tree of life. And the Anunnaki Starseed is really needing to dive into the guts of the universal tree of life to bring forth their manifestations, to get hard at work for changes in the collective, to see the dying off of the darkness of the Vatican and the Christianity. You don't like to take ownership for this aspect of it as all. It's almost as if this is tied into the viral aspect in the hologram. And so you're kind of seeing through that right now. You're seeing through that, and there is not a lot of mercy for that. And I feel that's why the death card came up. Is the death card is to be like, no more, we're ready for transformation. We have the Wheel of Fortune. So we have a lot of movement of energy. You're really tuning into that eternal flow. There's also transcendence of chaos. There is kind of tuning back into your rhythms of your cycles. You're feeling dynamic with this movement. You're feeling like a cycle has closed and that a new cycle has begun. You feel that a lot of contradictions and paradoxes have played out lately. Like, you've seen the contradictions in humanity and you see how everything is contradictive. And so that's a part of you that you've kind of come to acceptance and at peace with in some way. That's kind of allowed you to open up to higher levels of mobility and dynamicism and progression, and even to your traditions, like incorporating your ancestral beliefs and your traditions, but just knowing that everything is contradictive, everything is paradoxical. And you're just highly exploring the higher realms, the higher cycles of things. You feel like sometimes that moving is just living. And that against the everyday bustle of seeing your involvement in these global processes, that these are the events that all culminates into the things that change our lives dramatically. And so you're just feeling good about being benevolent, being generous on this planet. You feel a great thrust to improve yourself, improve the people around you. You want to be successful. You want other individuals to succeed. You'll do whatever it takes. You're not to make changes and to get through. You're feeling a lot of happiness right now. You feel a lot of good luck, and you feel like you're exhaling success. You know, you're inhaling the good and you're exhaling success. There's a lot of focusing on your breath work at this time. You also have the Four of Chalices. I'm sensing Castor Pollux. That Castor Pollux in Gemini, that there has been some type of coalition with them, with the Anunnaki as well. This would be the Big Brother stars, Castor Pollux. This also might have to do with Enki and Enlil. I'm just intuitively picking up. I haven't actually looked into that. That this would be the rivalry between the brothers. That there's this sense of that the brothers are watching you. The brothers are guiding you, that whenever you need, whenever you fall short or need assistance, or something happens where you just need some backup, that they have your back. Castor Pollux has your back. And so they're saying they don't want you to spend too many lifetimes procrastinating. They don't want you to spend too many lifetimes tied up in your own little world. They're asking you to seek outside of yourself. They're asking you to find that stability and that harmony, and then keep pushing yourself in this life, because everything, they want you to know, everything you're doing in this life matters in the next. That you're going to kind of pick up with your silver spoon in the next life and start shoveling your information back into your brain, into your mouth, into your body, and you're going to pick up where you last left off. And so everything you do in this life matters. Everything is like an accumulation. Your integrity, your pride, your ego, set it all aside at this time. Okay, stop procrastinating, because they're saying that everything you're going to carry your kings, you're going to carry your gold. You're going to carry your accomplishments. You're going to carry that wisdom into the next. And that's if you're going to Mars, if you're going to Nibiru, if you're going back to Castor Pollux, if you're going back to original source, wherever that may be, Sirius, Pleiades, that you're going to take these treasures back there with you. And so they're saying, do not afraid to be a scribe. Do not be afraid to record right now. Do not be afraid. They're asking you actually if you have recorded something very, very important from the Anunnaki Niburian Council, that they want you to go and hide it in a cave. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the message I'm getting. Stop having stagnation. Stop having fatigue about this. And they're saying that you have total vision right now. And evolution, and so you're connected to a grail line that is of the nobles, is of the king's lines, and that if you have something very sacred at this time that you want to leave here on earth, that the best thing for you to do right now is to put that in a writing format and hide it in a cave, okay? For this to be found for the species to come, for the root races to come. Okay, also I'm just getting the message that it's very important right now for Anunnaki Starseeds to be transcending those slavery contracts, to understand your golden worth, and to get beyond these chains of debt. That was from a time when Adamu was genetically modified to create the slave race. But we as a karmic soul collective have been demanding that these chains of slavery be released, and that these are no longer a part of the Anunnaki destiny, that this has evolved. And so there has come a time now that these slavery contracts are to be transcended as a priority within the Anunnaki Starseed. So those transmissions are being heard from the cryogenic containers. And so everything is being recorded at this time. Everything is being shifted from the higher realms. It's all being shifted from the higher realms. It's now up to the avatars here on Earth to make that happen. Okay, so that's just the messages I received today. I love you all so much. You can find my services at IndigoAngel222.com. Please join me on Patreon, patreon.com/IndigoAngel. And I hope you have a beautiful everything. Namaste.